So hello and welcome to the Medieval Fair of Norman Medieval Fair Free Lecture Series, co-sponsored by the OU Center for Medieval and Renaissance Studies. Our speaker tonight is Kelly McKinnon. She started doing medieval fair-ish type things in 2016, was almost on cast, but then they moved and so they did SCA, and that kind of led to you tend to discover hobbies there. And she first started doing the fabric stamping in 2020 with an online class, and has since started creating magnificent things, and is up for a Laurel elect in the Society for Creative Anachronism. And with that, I'm going to give it away to Kelly.
Great. Hi, everyone. As Anne-Marie said, I'm Kelly. I started block printing in 2020 and just never stopped, kind of learned as I went about. So hopefully I can share with y'all my take on how to block print. There's many different ways that you can do it, or many minor different ways that you can do it, but this is the way that works best for me. So if you want to come closer to see, you're more than welcome to get up and close, but otherwise I'm just going to start going into it. The history on block printing is kind of cool, and I won't go too deep into detail on it, but there has been evidence of block printing since ancient Egypt. There's been proof of that. There's been definitely when like Alexander the Great went to India, he found that there was beautiful stamped fabrics, as well as in, I believe, the Han Dynasty, there's been evidence of block printing as well. And so it's just been from there and continuing on throughout the centuries. There's even evidence of block printing on like wool fabrics in Russia. It's my favorite region is that area, but there, which in fact is based off of this stamp right here. If you can kind of see, this is a historically accurate stamp that was proven.
Perfect.
Yeah, that was found on some fabric remnants. And then as you know, the silk trade went through, it kind of went into the Europe as well in the later centuries, and then kind of exploded from there as well. But it's primarily Asian countries who do a lot of the block printing. So that's why I like it. It's a wonderful way to customize your own pieces of clothing for like medieval reenactment or going to the Med Fair or anything like that. You can add it around the trim of your like the base of your tunics. You can do it completely all over and make it look like brocades or anything like that. That's how I mostly use it, is to customize it and make it look like something else, because we live in Oklahoma and it gets hot, and I like to wear linen instead of brocade. And also it gets expensive when you're looking at brocade. So this is definitely a cheaper option than going with something that's completely historically accurate, which is why I like doing it for the SCA, because you have that ability to be creative in it. But so my setup that I like to do is I have everything laid out on the table, and I will have the materials that work best for me. Is I like to stamp on a camp mat that I have clearly stamped on quite a bit. This is what it looks like normally. You can get this at like Walmart or in the camping section. It's like $10 at most, and it has a really good it's soft enough to press into, but it's still very firm, so that way your stamps, when you're pressing down into it, will still have it'll come out a lot cleaner. Some people will use like towels, and if you do use a towel, make sure it doesn't have any indents on it or like lines, otherwise that'll come out through your stamps. You would want like one of those plain fluffy towels, and you'll fold it up and stick it underneath and just put your fabric on top of that. Other people have used like quilting mats as well, but I find that the camp mat is the best. It's also really easy to transport and move around. And then if you are wanting to cut or stamp smaller sections, you could even cut this up to make it fit. So if you're stamping something that's already made, so like a t-shirt or your tunic, you can cut the fabric or the mat to fit into your sleeves or into the chest area, because you're always going to want something in between the fabric and the rest of the fabric, because the fabric will soak through otherwise. So that's what I use to stamp on. Some of the items that I use are all I'll use my poor baking pan. This has turned into my block printing pan to pour paint when I'm using a roller. As you can see, it's very well loved and not cleaned. That is where I'll pour my paint into it to make sure that it doesn't go everywhere, especially when I'm using one of these rollers. I like to use foam sponges for the block printing, that it just soaks up just enough of the paint without letting it get runny, because some people will use like the fancy brayers that are more slick, and it works for some people. Personally, I like the foam much better. You can squeeze out more paint as you're going along. And then also I will use dabbers depending on how the stamps are, how much details or how small the stamp is, because sometimes you don't want to just roll it all out on it. The paint might be thicker, or your stamp might not be as deep, and so when you have a thinner stamp, you'll want to be able to just gently dab the paint on top of it. Yes, ma'am.
Is that fabric fully wood, or is it foam in the end?
It's foam at the end. It's one of these.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just well loved.
Yeah.
So you can reuse them as long as you clean them out as you go. So those are what I use personally. If you get a foam that's like this, always use the flat end, or cut off the sides, so that way you always have a flat surface to dab your paint onto. So like one of these, I'll just go ahead and snip it, so that way it's flat, because that will keep the paint from spreading to where you don't want it to. Let's see. And then for paint, you can pretty much use a wide variety of paints. There is, some people will use acrylic paint. I recommend, if you do acrylic paint, you add in your fabric medium as well. That you can get that from like Walmart or any art store. It's literally just fabric medium, and I use like 50% of fabric medium to how much paint you're going to be using. So just make sure it's all mixed up. That'll help it adhere and be softer with the fabric once it's on the fabric, because acrylic paint, when it dries, it's real crunchy, and the fabric medium makes it softer and will allow for it to last longer and not like crust off. Some other paints can be used as house paint. I like to get, this is really good when you want a custom color. So what I'll do is I'll go get a sample size and then pull out my color and mix it in. This is really good. You just have to be really cautious at keeping your stamps clean, like it's cleaning it in between your stamping a lot more, because once it dries, you're never going to get it off, which is why some of my stamps look the way they do.
Do you still have to put the fabric medium in with the house paint?
No, I have not. I use it just straight from the bottle. Make sure that you get matte, the matte finish. Thank you. Otherwise, I don't know. That's just always the color, the finish I've always gone with, just because the glossiness wouldn't go well with at least what I'm looking for when I'm stamping. There's actual fabric paints that you can use. There's Speedball, which you can get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, or there's the art store in Oklahoma City, like Jerry's Artorama. They carry this. This is a good beginner fabric paint, in my opinion. It will fade eventually. So I don't use it as much anymore. But it's still really good, especially if you're in you need to stamp something and that's what you have on hand. Otherwise, I have my favorite paint to use, which is jacquard. There's different types. There's the textile colors, which is just matte colors, and then there's like their Lumiere selection as well, which is more metallics, and they're really pretty because the Speedball metallics are very thin, and you have to add in like white or yellow depending on what color you're going with. Yeah, it's very translucent. The jacquard ones are a lot more opaque and a lot easier to work with. So if you're wanting something a little bit more sparkles, this is what I personally recommend, which makes really great like fake brocade-esque look to, in my opinion.
Can you bring the label over to the camera?
If I have a clean one.
If you have one readable.
Yeah.
Clean one that can be read.
Yeah, if you can see. Let's see, back up just a little. I think that's got it. Yeah.
There you go. But
You
those
spelled that how?
Jacquard.
Oh, okay.
I probably mispronounce it all the time. But so those are just some of the selections that I use for paints. Like I said, as you get used to it, there are other types of paint. There's like oil-based paints that you can use, but those for me haven't worked as well because one, I'm really impatient, and they take about 2 weeks to dry.
Oof.
Yeah, they're gorgeous, but it takes 2 weeks to dry, and it's really messy. And so I just don't mess with it. I stick with these paints.
So like 2 weeks outside or whatever.
Yeah, you can definitely like leave it somewhere up high, so if you have pets or kids or whoever, or just me messing with it, brushing it up, because I'm like, are you done? Let's go. Let's touch it. These paints dry a lot faster, and so you can pretty much go through like a whole roll of fabric, and by the time you're done, or like a yard or two, and by the time you're done with that, your paint has already dried and you can then heat set it. As far as cleaning some of these stamps, I like to, it depends on how thick your stamp is. If you get like a laser cut thin stamp that doesn't have much, that isn't really thick, be careful with washing it because it will warp. I've learned that the hard way. Not even once. I've done it multiple times. So just if you wash a thin one, which I don't have one with me, I mostly work with these thicker ones. They're a lot easier. And so some of the stamps, as you can see, have a lot of details, which the paint can get in between. And the easiest way, in my opinion, to clean a stamp is if I don't drop it, is with a toothbrush. It has been, it's soft and gentle on the stamps, but also gets in the crevices, and you can use like Dawn soap as well to get the paint off. And so once you have decided what you want to stamp or however you want to stamp, a great way to start out is you lay out your fabric, and what you want to do is start your fabric away from you, and then stamp it up at the top, and then as you're going, move down, so that way when you're moving your fabric, you're moving it away from you instead of pulling it closer to you, so that way when you're like leaning over anything, you're not stamping on, you're not getting it on your clothes as much. You will get paint all over your hands. I've gotten it like down my arms, in my hair. It is a messy but fun activity. So let me see. One of the ways, so you can grid out your stamps on your fabric with like chalk, or, you know, normally like whatever you use for patterning, like cutting out patterns. A lot of people will use chalk. I use painter's tape, so that way you can go down each row and just set up the fabric and line it up as you go. Or, you know, if you wanted to go and do the whole thing. Painter's tape is really nice, in my opinion, for doing this, because it doesn't leave any residue or marks, whereas chalk, if you're stamping on top of the chalk, it might not come out. So that's what I use for these. I just will lay out my stamp sort of where I know I want to set it, and then I'll add in the tape to block it out, so it'll look like that, and then just keep going from there, measuring it out with a ruler or anything. But that's my trick to making sure that you are stamping exactly where you want to stamp. Let's see. So I have this stamp that I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna pour out, I think I'm gonna use this blue, mostly because there's a lot of it. Or not. I lied. We're gonna use the black. So what I will do is, if with this stamp, I know that I can roll it out and get, I can use this roller because it's big enough for it to be rolled. What I will do, however, is before I stamp on the actual fabric, I will get a scrap piece and lay that out. And you don't have to use scrap fabric. What you can do is you can use paper instead. This is just to test your stamp out to see how much paint you're going to want to put on it, to make sure that your crevices are getting overflowed with fabric, with paint or anything like that. So in order to do that, we're gonna throw some paint in here, and you're gonna use more paint than you actually want to. There's it's just gonna be a lot of it just takes a lot of paint to get enough on here. So rolling it through my handy dandy pan.
So is that a sponge roller or a hard roller?
Yes, so this is a sponge roller. To me, they work better on wooden stamps, or if like you have acrylic or a 3D printed stamp, that these work, I think, better than the harder ones do. But that's just my personal preference. So I'm getting all of the paint on here as much as I can, so it's all black, and just cover the entire thing. A thing that I recommend doing is putting an arrow on what your top is, so that way you know you're not going to mess up every time. And then what you'll do is you'll press down, and you can use your upper body weight to press into the fabric. Or you can use like a rubber mallet, or some people will use a rolling pin to apply. Yeah, but just as long as you apply pressure, you'll be able to. And then you just kind of lift it up. And then this is what your stamp will look like.
Ooh, that's
Oh.
gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. So, and what you do with why you want to test it out is to make sure that you are putting the right amount of paint on here. I thankfully know how much paint to apply after years of doing it, but like here, you could add a little bit more to it. So it also is a good way to check to see if your stamp might be a little warped and if you need to put more pressure on it, because there are like the bigger your stamp is, the more you're going to have to find those spots that are that will need more pressure than others. So with that, we have the first stamp done, and I'm pretty confident with this. But you can also, let me see, add in other stamps. So if I like to use this one with this stamp, let's see, and kind of show off. And it's just more of that applying all of the paint.
What happens if you get too much paint on your stamp accidentally? What can you do?
So with that, you can, if you can tell that you've already put too much paint on it, like if, let's say, I'm just gonna add, like, especially if you get it in the crevices where you're not supposed to have it, I recommend getting paper towels and just kind of taking off as you go, and cleaning it up. So that's how, like, let's say and that's where testing it out is also going to be really important. So if you stamp it and it comes out like that,
Yeah.
you're going to know that you need to either apply less, or as you're going, go in and clean up that section. Because there's some stamps where it's going to be pretty much impossible to miss not getting extra paint into those sections, just depending on like I said earlier, how thin it is, how thin you have your stamp, or how many little crevices there are. But definitely have paper towels on hand to clean that up for that. So once you're pretty happy with testing your stamps, because you can also see like down here, I didn't put enough paint on it.
A little lighter.
Yeah, it's a little lighter, which is gonna be okay if that ends up happening on the actual stamping. You're gonna mess up, and that's gonna be okay because this is handmade. So it gives I personally think that it looks really fun to have some mess ups. It does not have to be perfect. It will not be perfect. I have dropped my stamp on multiple times. I have put too much pressure on one section. I've put not enough paint. It's going to happen, and you're gonna get frustrated while it's happening. But if just like keep going, and then once you have like the garment that you're working on completed, you're gonna see that, and hopefully, like how I feel is like, oh yeah, I made that. You can tell, people can tell, and if you
It wasn't a machine.
yeah, so that's kind of the nice thing about block printing, is that it is something that you make for yourself or for others, and you have that proof. Like, here's the proof. I made it. It's messed up. And most of the time, people don't notice. they don't notice this little, that it's lighter on one section than on the other. They just see the whole thing and they think it's gorgeous. So what, I'm actually gonna go put this over here. So once you're happy with your tests and you kind of know what you're gonna be working on, you'll go back to here and plan with, hopefully you have, you know, a general idea of how you want the fabric to be cut. So there are two ways that you can stamp, well, there's multiple ways you can stamp fabric. I either will stamp before I cut anything, especially if the pattern is repetitive and doesn't matter which direction. So like if I'm using one of the, like this stamp, it doesn't matter because it's the same in all directions. And so you can cut it or stamp it like by the yard and then be able to go in and cut out whatever you need. Another way that I will do it is I will get my dress or my tunic, whatever, mostly sewn, but not sewn up the sides, so it's still laying flat, and then you can stamp where your fabric already is, so that way you're not stamping a whole lot of extra. And then also you can control which direction. So like if you're stamping the body piece, you can stop where your shoulders are, and then flip the stamp. So like this one, you would stamp it facing up this way, and then on the back you would make sure that or where your back is going to be, you can make sure. And then also you can stamp it so that way the side pieces or whatever you have, it's all even and just one beautiful garment. And then you can make sure your sleeves face the same direction. You don't have any cases of upside down, although it is period or historically accurate to have fabric sideways, or like if the pattern is sideways or slightly off kiltered, because you're using what you have. That's been proven with the brocades, with anything. So it just depends on what you're kind of going for. I always just go for, this is pretty now, not pretty like I want it to be pretty right, like today, and so that's how I'll stamp it. So
So do you apply paint between each time that you press the stamp?
Yeah, so you have to apply it multiple times. So it's every single time that you use your stamp, you have to reapply the paint as you go along. So, because otherwise you're not gonna have enough, like the paint, yeah, it'll just get lighter. So we'll go and apply it here. And then, and now it's hard to tell when it's black paint, but now there's barely any of it left, just some spots that the paint didn't fully take. And then so you'll just reapply it. And this is where you definitely want to stamp a couple and then go and wash your stamp. Because otherwise, if you don't wash your stamp in between every couple of stamps, it's like what I talked earlier about the house paint. It'll stay on, and then your stamps won't come out as crisp. They'll start getting smudgy or not as great. And it's also cleaning your stamps in between. You can apply a paper towel to kind of help get some of it off. And this is another reason why I like using a camp mat, is that I can just apply it and scrape it off, especially if I don't want to if I don't have that much. So yeah, you can see a lot of it has come off just by doing that, but then going to the sink and washing it off. So stamping is long, is very tedious and long, but it's so much fun because as soon as you pick up that stamp, you're gonna see your work, and that's the fun part of it all.
Yay. Cool.
Let's see. And then this is part of why I like to use painter's tape, because again, I said earlier, it's just so much neater to take apart and then reapplying it. Yeah. Let's do it a little bit. You can also use painter's tape in like a piece of paper. So if you're like trying to stamp a specific spot, but you don't want another part of your fabric. So like if your garment is laying out flat and you want to stamp one direction, you can put that painter's tape and some paper over the area that is covering it, or over the area that you don't want stamped, and that'll help because then the paper is taking the stamp. So if you have it, let's do it like this. So we'll just imagine that I have,
A piece of paper there.
Yeah, a piece of paper there. It'll give you at least half, because you're gonna end up stamping on the edge. You're not always going to be able to fit it directly on the fabric. Sometimes you're gonna get on the edge. And so, as you can see, if that way, with the paper right here, you can pull it off, and you'll have the sleeve or whatever you're using still clean. So that way, if you need to stamp it, like, because your sleeves are facing, you need to stamp it sideways going down. It'll keep it, and then also just covering anything that you don't want. And then once you get like your first row down and you're like, okay, starting to see the process, you can come in with a different stamp. Now I'm worried. So I almost stamped it, but there's you can see that this right here in the corner is not as glossy as the rest of it. So that's also a way to make sure that you know that you put paint on everything correctly. Because a lot of the paints are gonna look real shiny. And then you can go in and add in the secondary stamp and pull it off. And then that will be like the start of your pattern that you're working on. So, and then you can just keep going with the bigger stamp in the middle, in between there and there, but have multiple stamps going on. Let's see.
How long did you say this takes to dry?
This doesn't take that long. Like just now, probably I would give it 30 minutes, just to be safe. And then once it's fully dry, like you can put your hand on it and no paint comes up with it. Like just be careful doing that. Where once it's completely dried, what you're going to want to do is heat set it. And you can heat set it two different ways. You can either throw it in the wash, not the washer, not in the washer. You'll put it in the dryer and have it run through just a regular drying session, or you can heat set it with an iron. I like to do both just to be extra cautious. And what you'll realize is that once you iron it, a great way to know that you've already ironed it is how like soft it becomes, because like it'll still be a little crunchy is the way I think it feels. and then you'll iron it, and then it'll be nice and soft and kind of like more.
Fabricy.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is definitely how you want to take care of the fabric before you wash it. So like if you're using linen or cotton to stamp on, like that can then be thrown in the washer in the dryer. Your stamps will probably still fade even with the nicer fabrics, so you want to like not do it that often, but it is just in case you spill something on it or you sweat or anything like that, you can still wash it. If you use other materials like wool or silk, you're gonna want to do a touch, like spot touch, just as you would with the fabric, because those are also fabrics that can use.
Fading.
So do you heat set even the house paint, all of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's also where that crunchy fabric will come into in terms more soft. The house paint, you'll be able to definitely wash over and over, because house paint, once it's on fabric, will never come off, like ever. Which is why you have to wash your stamp in between as much as possible. That's, but that is
A lot of your designs that you've shared on social media have multiple colors. Are you painting it on the stamp that way, or are you doing layered stamps and?
so you can do it both ways if you have the right kind of stamp for that. I typically will go in and stamp it all at once. So like this stamp is a really easy way to get to different colors, because you can put one color on the circles and then another color on there. And an easy way to do that would be with the dabbers, because you have more control on what you put on there. So let's use the gold and the black. Also, your paint's gonna dry on you. And be, yeah. And so there is a slight difference between the two paints. This one is more gummy, and this is definitely looser. Both will work just fine. It doesn't matter. But when you are going in and stamping with it, definitely make sure that if you use a dabber to make to keep it, to take off some excess of the paint, so that way once you apply your paint onto the stamp, it doesn't just go everywhere, especially the more liquid the paint is. But you are going to need more paint than you think you do. Do not be afraid to add more paint. Just as long as it doesn't look like it's going to gunk up, sort of like when I tested it out earlier. So you'll just get it all in here. And you do kind of have a time clock on how long you have until your paint starts drying. It's not like super fast or anything like overwhelming, but you just don't want to like set your stamp and go walk away and then come back and try to stamp with it. It won't work out that way. I learned. And so you're just gonna make sure that you don't touch the other, and honestly, don't hold it when you're using the dabber. Leave it on the table. I've watched my own stamp flip too many times, and so you'll just get it all as much as you can.
But not excess, right?
Right, yeah. And when you're using the dabber, don't smash it in there, just lightly dab it. And that'll help keep it from getting too much into filling up the holes and the crevices with that extra paint.
Would this work with ink too?
Yes. Well, it depends on
Like
what
the
kind of.
archival inks that are like more liquid but thicker.
Yeah,
Do
you
it
can.
the same way. Would you seal it the same way?
I would. I always seal it. I would just with the heat setting.
You know those heat guns that you use to wrap like gift baskets? Like it melts the plastic down and like, would those work to seal it that way? Or would that be too much direct heat?
I don't know.
Far you have to go.
Yeah, it might be. I think the importance is getting that heat to it, so that way it's soft. Because you're applying heat to it directly with the iron, so I can see. Because I know some people will use the Cricut irons for like the big square ones. They'll use those press.
Oh, like the t-shirt presses?
Yeah, the t-shirt presses. So I could see. I've never tried that, so I'm
It's
not.
an idea if you're doing a lot of detail or you're doing smaller things that you don't necessarily want
to heat set everything. Yeah. I'm almost there. Okay. So everything still looks really glossy, so that means that there is enough paint on here and it's wet enough. Actually, I'm gonna add some more right here before. You'll definitely want to make sure you don't have to. It's better to have to go back in and add more paint than adding too much paint all at once. Let's see. And then once you're happy with it, I'm just gonna add it. And you always want to just not drop it, but make sure that you don't you want to lay it down flat, not tilt it or anything, because then the fabric could get caught or you could slide the stamp. Yeah, smudging it. And then you put more pressure on it. And then very carefully. And you can see that you have different colors. It doesn't look great on the pink, but and you can see where I got some of the black paint onto where the gold was supposed to be. So you have to, let me see, is that?
Yes, that shows.
Yeah, perfect. But that's where you're gonna look at it, to know for next time to clean in between the little sections. And you can see that some of the paint, even though I added extra paint, it still wasn't enough because it missed just some of the pluses on there.
What do you do if you run into that and you wanted it to be solid?
So that is where if you have the desire and the temper, excuse me, you'll want to get a paintbrush. Excuse me, let me get some water. There we go. You'll get a paintbrush and you'll just go in there and paint it in. I think that's pretty much everything that I do for like just the generic, just going in and block printing.
Where do you get your really cool stamps from?
Oh, okay. So the stamps. So some of my friends will, if they have like a laser cutter, they'll cut it out on wood or acrylic. There is a Etsy store called Tie Dye Travels. He sells block printing stamps of all kinds. He's got 16th century, he's got 9th century, he's got pretty much anything that you could possibly want for block printing, with like French designs, all kinds of other European and Slavic, and he has like Mongolian and Asian and Chinese different stamps. That's where most of my stamps come from. So like these guys, he even has some like Star Wars stamps as well. You can also go on like Amazon and get stamps made from India, which is more like what these are. Or you can get them elsewhere, but those are primarily where I have gotten stamps from. You can also have stamps 3D printed, just as long as the actual stamp part is smooth. And that with like 3D printed or my like acrylic stamps, that's why I use the foam dabbers, because if you use like a hard brayer, it'll just slide right off, and it'll look really weird once you're applying it. But with the foam dabbers, I've been able to just get it and stamp it on there, and it come out real nice.
So they have blocks that you can like carve your own because they've got a thin piece of, is it linoleum?
Yeah, it's linoleum. So you can make your own stamps that way with linoleum, or there's like pink rubber that you can get at Michael's. It's like the speedball pink rubber. And you just need to get like a carving kit out of that, and you can make your own designs. I have not had good luck with that myself. I'm impatient. And also like designing the stamp, like the carving
Do
it.
it backwards?
Yes, you do have to stamp it. When you're making the stamp, it's gonna have to be backwards to what you're wanting it to be, because otherwise it won't be right. So like if you're wanting to carve out and stamp, like a phrase or something, you have to write it backwards. So that way when it lays down, it reads correctly.
Yeah, I know, I have friends that like will take an image and upload it and then reverse it.
Mm-hmm.
So that way when they carve it, it doesn't come out like
Yeah,
the wrong way,
yeah.
which that would trip me up, because I would totally carve it out the wrong way.
And I guess we could go to the Pioneer Library System makerspace and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
do
that's
the laser cut there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can definitely do it that way, just as long as you have like a SVG file, I think is what they use for that.
SVG?
Yes, SVG, yeah. And they can work with you on that as well, but as long as you have your design. I like to go simpler when I'm designing my own stamps. I've actually I've made my own like Targaryen stamp in the past. I've made My Little Pony. Just like, so you can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be, serious, like this is the only thing. I mean, like I have the Star Wars stamps. It's just whatever you want it to be. That's the great thing about block printing, is you can customize it.
This is house paint you are using today?
No, this is the fabric paint, the jacquard.
Okay. Can you use acrylic paint and mix it with the fabric medium?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, as long as you have that fabric medium in there, it'll work out real nice.
Okay.
As well.
Do you make clothing out of this, or?
Yes. So what I'll do is I will stamp all of the fabric. Like I'll cut out the pattern pieces for it and then stamp that and then sew it all together.
Do you still have the album up on your Facebook?
Yeah,
or
it's still on my
Instagram,
Facebook. Thank you.
Let's see.
Here, I can. She's gonna
Is it
pull
under
up,
Kelly or Koia?
Kelly. She's gonna pull up some of my work. I don't have everything. So, in the picture of my profile picture,
Oh, yeah.
I made this whole outfit myself.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hang on a second, let me get the screen sharing on the Zoom
Okay.
people. Come on, where's my screen share?
Share.
Share, green button in the middle.
Aha, thank you. There we go, now Zoom can see
Yeah.
it.
So, as you can see, it's the same stamp that I used with the multiple colors, and then just other ones. Can you?
Did you stamp the yellow there too, the golden yellow?
This part right here? Yes. Yeah, I stamped every single part of it. Do you want to
Cool.
scroll down and show them the Aki and Agnes outfits?
Let's see,
Over?
I'm trying to get to
Just hit my name.
that
or not.
Got it, Bob?
Hang on. Should
There
be
it
here,
is.
there we go. Okay. And hit your name. There we go.
And just scroll down, just,
Is it in your photo album or?
it would be in my tagged pictures. But you can
See all
see,
photos?
yeah, see all photos.
Scroll down again.
A little back down, right there.
There we go.
Yeah, and you can see some better pictures of the same dress. But yeah, so I also stamped this fabric
Wow.
and added it to, so this is actually like a Russian, or like a Kievan Rus design, which is 10th century Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. So it's that general area.
Wow.
And so that's the garment. Ignore my face, I was cold.
Is that your own heritage, the Ukraine and?
No, it's just I'm Slavic, or not Slavic, but that's my Society for Creative Acronym persona. This one is more of that SCA creative side of things, where I have I think that's Byzantine eagle, or something similar with some of the heraldic stars.
Ja, das ist die Wahl. Ja, das ist schon.
It's if you scroll up to my albums, you'll find it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought you had an album
Yeah,
that had.
block printing projects.
There we go.
So here's some, I haven't updated it recently, but here's some of the stuff that I've made. So I've added bees to a tunic just to give them some of the heraldry. This is the Onstjorn star. So that is for the region of Oklahoma and Texas, our kingdom. In the SCA, that's our heraldry and the symbol for that. So I added it to this dress.
So that's an example of how you lay out the pattern pieces.
Yeah.
So you know where your stamp's gonna land.
Mm-hmm. And this one was like 2021, 2022, or 20, what year? 21. So this was when I was still learning how to do it, because you can see I kind of messed up on the patterning, but it's still, once it's moving and you're walking around with it, no one actually notices that it's messed up.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it.
Can you do this on cotton and linen, but can you do it on wool?
Yes, you can do it on wool. Just make sure that it's not a slubby wool. It's more like the Milton wool is really good
Okay.
to use. You can also do it on silk. Pretty much any natural fibered fabrics are good. I just personally use linen the most because it's hot in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, see, that's the garment where it's mostly done hanging up there, letting it kind of sit. And then just more of the
Love
me
that.
cutting
Wow.
out. Yeah.
And then you heat set everything, like with an iron?
Yeah.
Do you need to put paper or anything between that it won't come off?
No, it won't come off as long as it's fully dried.
Okay.
So just be careful, because I've ironed it when it was not fully dried and smeared a little, yeah. But this is how I've done a lot of the stamping in the past. And then it looks,
Pretty.
turns into the garments like that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's, it takes a lot of time. And so this is that paint that I talked about earlier. Gambolin is what it's called, I think. And that takes 2 weeks to dry. So I had to leave it out on my porch for a while. And then this is me trying out carving. I've never actually used that stamp, but I tried it. And then here we actually used a stencil to make
Stencil.
this, yeah. And then this is more of the stamping that I've done. And then, yeah, and then this is really fun because, so I did not do the red, that fabric was given to me as is, but the black fabric with the darker stars and the lion dragon that's on it, I
Did you
stamped
use
it.
a white and black to make a gray, or did you use silver?
I used black and white to make it into like a gunmetal-ish color
Yeah.
for me, so that way it would still show. But one of my favorite things to do is color on color and make it just kind of like
Almost 3D.
yeah, and then
Cool.
just more. You can tell I really like the big circular stamp, as you see. Yeah.
Are you concerned about placement? I mean, as far as like, I noticed you have that one big circle on her shoulder. Did that just happen that way, or did you plan to have it?
So that's where planning it, I planned it out with laying out the painter's tape. So I talked about that earlier, having painter's tape as kind of my grid marks, so that way I knew where to stamp it. Nowadays, I'm a little bold and don't use grid marks, but I've been doing it for a while now that I feel pretty confident in the way that I do it. And so you don't always have to do it all over. You can just do it on smaller sections too, just to give it that extra oomph, but without like overwhelming it. We didn't have to show that. So this is period design. So this is something that would have been used in Roman. And then you can do cotton like napkins and making it like that as well. And just adding it to whatever you want and making it. So this is
Wow.
a Turkish coat that I'm working on right now that's inspired by The Shining.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, that's
I think that's the end of the file.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. So, are there any other questions? Or does anyone want to try? I have extra fabric. I'll even let you take it home.
So do you have a favorite stamp surface? Because like you were saying, some of the stamps are wood, some are acrylic, some are that rubber stuff you can carve.
I like the wood the most. So do you want to use, so here's some of the smaller ones that we can use. Whichever ones you want.
Oh, and I forgot to say it at the beginning. Thank you, Norman Arts Council, for making this possible.
Yes. So, go ahead and, I would use the roller. There's enough paint on here still that we can do it.
Not seeing any questions on that.
I have a hard rubber roller. Is that not a good one to use?
So I personally don't like using it. I know
Is
like
that
other,
too much or too little?
add a little bit more. We can
Okay.
add more paint to the
Well, there's plenty in the roller, just didn't.
I've tried with the hard grayers on 3 different stamps and could not get the ink
To lay
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
to even get on my stamp.
I think it
seems.
works better for a linoleum, for like print making,
Okay.
than it does for like this, especially what we do normally with it. And then just put it and then press down on it.
Like how hard?
Just, yeah, full body weight.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. It won't break on you, I promise.
No, I just didn't want to make it too thick.
And then just make sure you hold the fabric down and then pull up.
Okay. Cool. There you go. Yay.
And what's cool?
Other-
Wanna try this one?
That one? Oh yeah, a little Viking then.
Do you prefer like this kind of padded surface so it goes into it a little bit better?
Yes, I do.
I'm just watching.
Perfect.
The camping mat is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
For all of ours are 8th grade. I would have to go get one that wasn't.
Close cell phone
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
yeah.
There you
They
go.
also work great during hailstorms to protect your windshield.
Yeah. They're also really nice when you're actually camping and you need it like,
Insulation layer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or padding underneath you.
So
we can
when
lift it.
you feel like you've
One that I put
Or
in.
messed up,
Rolled up
or
under
you
your
want
desk.
like
when
a
you're-
little
Yeah, I
piece
know
on the
how it is.
inside to be a little darker, you said you go into it with a paintbrush?
Yeah, like if you're willing to and brave enough to do that. Do you want a picture of?
Yeah. Yeah. The things I probably need to get into.
Okay. Do you want
No, I was
Okay.
just gonna watch. Go ahead, go ahead.
Star Wars,
I just wanted to
Viking?
watch.
Oh my.
I'll judge you on what Star Wars was.
I have it on my Facebook page.
Or Fox.
Right,
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I probably better
And
just
here.
didn't remember.
Right.
what CA it was.
Or recognize
Whichever
her.
one.
Yeah, without a garb on. Yeah.
I'm gonna show Tamara. Oh, I think I got too much on there.
No, just roll it out and just try to, yeah, you'll get it on your hands. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
We have
Thankfully,
paper towel and we have a sink.
Now, what medium is it you prefer to use? I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of the class, so.
This fabric right here.
The
Or
jacquard.
just jacquard, this stuff.
Okay.
And then, go ahead.
Okay.
Here, use the paper towel and just kind of,
She's done it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, big bottles, yeah.
I like the house paint sample size idea because, yeah, you could get exactly whatever color you wanted.
yeah, that's really
not have
great
to
if you
spend
want to color
$50
match,
for it.
like a different fabric on it. So you just take the fabric. Oh yeah, that looks great. Okay, oh, alright. So this is what I'm gonna do. Don't judge the lefty by her cutting abilities.
We've gotten to the point with Cass now that I actually have like 2 or 3 pairs of left-handed scissors in our sewing supplies.
It's always handy.
It's good to be lefty. It's fine.
We're getting ready to go to war. Koia, are you going to war?
Oh,
Getting
yeah.
ready to go to war on the 13th, I think is when I'm leaving. And,
Someday when I retire, I'll get to go to war.
oh, it's fun.
War.
It is so fun.
Thank you.
The first war I ever went to.
What is war?
I know what it is.
Oh.
I'm trying to see which one it was.
Oh, Gulf Wars.
Gulf Wars is
Yeah,
coming up,
yeah,
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've been to one war.
Oh, yeah.
That was in, I can't remember, it was like Highland War was in Smallwood in California.
I
Oh.
think I've heard of those.
Which,
That one.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because it's like Bakersville, Victorville.
Yeah.
I was like,
You
Now,
need help washing these?
now, do you just use water to wash it, or?
Yeah, so I'll
water?
use water in like a little Dawn soap if I have it, but otherwise it should come out pretty easily.
Okay.
that you found somebody.
Yeah, I have a black,
Like, make it.
technically it has a little white window pane that's about 3 inches, but it's so faint you can't see it
Yeah.
unless you get right up close to it. Then I'm gonna make an over tunic, over red. It's black with a little kind of bright white window pane in it.
So, yeah. Should be hard to stamp it. Using hot water.
I'm gonna go ahead
Be
and
cheaper
check it out.
than trying to buy cans of tobacco.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad. Here, let me. Unless you guys want to learn how to wash stamps.
I don't think my camera will reach over there.
No, but here I just washed